Hi everyone, how's it going? HKUHD here, and welcome to another video. So today I am talking about the iPad, and if you've been struggling to decide between the iPad Pro and the iPad Air, then I'm going to try and give you some advice when choosing between them. The most premium model in the iPad lineup is the iPad Pro, and this starts from £749 or $799 for the 11-inch model, and £999 or $1,099 for the 12.9-inch model. Next we have the mid-tier iPad, and that's the iPad Air, and this comes in a 10.9-inch screen in a similar design to the iPad Pro, and this starts from £579 or $599. If you're on a budget, then the iPad Air may be a better value for money. Next we have the design. Both the iPad Pro and the iPad Air more or less have the same design. It has that squared off industrial style look. I think it looks really good and prefer this style, so I'm happy Apple are still going with it. So regardless of which iPad you go for, you're still getting the same design. So the color options we have for the iPad is space grey and silver on the iPad Pro. The iPad Air also has the same silver and space grey, but it has an additional few more colors which come in rose gold, green, and sky blue. So the iPad Air offers more color variants. Next we have storage. The iPad Pros come with a capacity of 128GB and goes all the way up to 2TB. The iPad Air starts at 64GB and only has another option at 256GB. If you're looking to store files locally, then the iPad Pro may be your best bet. So in terms of RAM, we know we get 8GB or 16GB of RAM depending on the storage option you pick for the iPad Pro. We don't know how much RAM is available on the iPad Air. If your workflow includes intense tasks or multitasking, then you may want to consider the iPad Pro. So onto the display. On the 12.9-inch iPad, we have the new Liquid Retina XDR display, which improves on the brightness and contrast on the previous display. In person you can really see a difference, and it's the best screen you can get on an iPad at the moment. Then we have the 11-inch iPad Pro and the iPad Air. This has the same Liquid Retina display, although the iPad Pro is slightly brighter at 600 nits than the 500 nits on the Air, but this isn't a massive difference. Another important feature that I really like is ProMotion, and this is only available on the iPad Pros. It has a 120Hz refresh rate screen, compared with the 60Hz refresh rate on the iPad Air. So overall the best display is on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. So next we look at the chip. So the iPad Pro have the M1 chip, which is very capable and is currently being held back by the software on the iPad Pros. On the iPad Air we have the A14 Bionic chip, which in itself is no slouch. But of course, with there being no difference between iPad OS on both devices, this may not matter as much for the moment. I do hope we'll see a difference in the future. Next we have the camera. I personally never really used the camera on my iPad, so for me it doesn't matter. It wouldn't be a reason why I choose one iPad over the other. On the Pros we have the dual camera setup with LiDAR, and on the Air we have the single camera. So for those who use a camera on the iPad, the Pros would be the way to go. The front-facing cameras have had an improvement on the new Pros, and that is a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera, which is great for video calling with your friends, family, or whoever that might be. The FaceTime HD camera on the Air has a 7-megapixel camera, and it will still do the job, but it's missing the new center stage feature, which is a really nice addition. So the iPad Pro has a better front-facing camera as well. So on to the speakers. The iPad Pro has 4 speakers, which are much louder than the iPad Air's stereo speakers. So if speakers are important to you, then the iPad Pro would be a better choice. Onto the connectivity. Both use the new Wi-Fi 6 technology. If you're looking for cellular, then the iPad Pros have 5G. If you're only interested in a Wi-Fi only model, then this doesn't matter. Next we have Face ID versus Touch ID. I personally like and prefer Face ID. I just have to look at the iPad and it's unlocked. So I guess this depends on your preference for Face ID or Touch ID. Both the iPad Pro and iPad Air have a USB-C port, however the Pros have a Thunderbolt USB 4 port, and this will offer the faster speeds when transferring files from an external hard drive back and forwards. Also, it's more likely that better accessories will be available on the iPad Pro. So if you're going to be transferring files back and forwards on an external hard drive, then the iPad Pro is probably the better option. So looking at the software, both will support iPad OS 15, and will likely have the same software for a while, unless Apple add more Pro features on the iPad Pro. So it's disappointing that there's no real difference in terms of the software. So looking at the accessories, both support the Apple Magic Keyboard and the 2nd Gen Pencil. So there's not much difference in terms of accessories unless Thunderbolt accessories are important to you. So if you're looking to use the iPad for illustrations, photo editing, video editing, even coding, then I'd probably recommend the iPad Pro. If you are looking to use the iPad as your primary device, then I would also recommend the iPad Pro. If you're on a budget looking to do more generic tasks such as web browsing, sending emails, word processing, and even media consumption, then I would recommend the Air. Also, if you already have a Mac or laptop as your primary device, then this could be a great complementary device. So that's the end of the video. Be sure to subscribe for future tech videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.